Welcome back to Windsor Spitfires TV. I'm Manny Paiva. Thrilled to be joined by the General Manager and Vice President of Hockey Operations, Bill Bowler, in our next installment of the State of the Spitfires. It's the second half of the Ontario Hockey League season, and the Windsor Spitfires are among the best teams in not only the Ontario Hockey League, but the Canadian Hockey League. And now it's the second half of the season as the Spitfires make their push for the playoffs. Bill, let's first start there. How would you describe the first half of the season?
Obviously, we're happy where we sit. We have a comfortable lead in our division. We've matched up against some of the other teams in our league that we've competed against in the first half. So we still think there's room to grow with our group too. So far so good, but a lot of hockey still ahead, obviously.
We just passed the OHL trade deadline, and you were active in acquiring 3 players. I want to talk about each one of those players. Let's start on the back end with the acquisition of Wyatt Kennedy. Why did you make that move for Wyatt?
Again, we see a player, a 2-year player that is defends first, big, long, excellent kid, character kid, a leader up in North Bay. Has played a ton of playoff hockey, so we think that's going to be beneficial for our group, not only this year, but hopefully next year as well. The price of hockey players, as we know, is expensive, but when you get that type of player and that type of character, for us, it was something we seeked out, and we were fortunate enough to get it. The other part of that deal, we think that will help Carson Woodall. He'll get a partner now that's reliable, create some continuity, and it may allow Carson to, explore his offensive game a little more, knowing that someone like Wyatt's there for him for support.
You solidified your top 4 on the back end, and then you made a move for a young player, Luke McNamara. Why did you like him?
Again, the obvious talent, the skating, former first-round draft pick. Once Owen Outwater, we heard the unfortunate news. We had to replace that body. We needed a older 2005 birth year is what the goal was. You're not always fortunate enough to have that out there, but again, for the price, we think that's a good addition. We think there's some untapped ability there, and he's been a welcomed addition up to date. He's played a good couple games, and again, he's a possible OA candidate as well.
And you made one move just before the deadline ended in acquiring Sean Costello, instead of Chase Costello, my bad, Sean Costello. Why did you make that move?
Again, Jack Nesbitt's our only 2007 forward, birth year, excuse me. We've watched Sean a lot in his minor midget year. He brings a little bit of a bite to his game, well-rounded. And we just think at that time it made sense to see Ethan Martin go. You don't want to see good, big, strong players that we've been very patient with, and he's done everything for this organization. But the Oshawa Generals needed that type of player. It was a good fit. We get a couple assets. We get a little younger. And again, I think Ethan would have been hard pressed to maybe get in our top 9 on certain nights. So this is when you make a deal, you think it's a win-win for both organizations, and I hope that's the case.
In acquiring a Kennedy and a Costello, as well as a McNamara, is it safe to say that not only were you making moves to improve your team this year, but you had an eye on the future?
You're always trying to think about the future. But obviously, sometimes deals that are sitting there, older players, you have to just obtain. To answer your question, yes, we think all those players will be back. There were a number of other players we looked at, but as I kind of mentioned earlier, the cost of a hockey player is a lot, especially good ones. And for us, it was more of a tweak. And sometimes you acquire players that don't cost as much, but at the end of the day, they're great value. And we think these 3 hockey players are great value, and we'll see how things shake out next year. We're not worried about next year. I know the group isn't and the coaches are. As a manager, you have to obviously be cognizant of that, but we think all 3 deals will benefit us not only this year, but next.
Want to talk about the goaltending? When can you expect Carter Fraga to come back to join Joey Costanzo? And you also have 2 really young, good goaltenders as well.
Yeah, we like our depth in that position. We've seen Jake Winbiel and Michael Newlove get their first wins there a couple weeks ago. To answer your question, Carter Frogger will play this weekend. Just not sure if it's Saturday or Sunday just yet in Barrie or Oshawa. We're hoping to get Joey back on his game. He's had a great first half. It's a long year. You have ups and downs, but no, Carter's healthy. Again, Carter has a ton of potential, and we expect him to have a big second half as well.
So do Jake and Michael go back to their teams and when Carter joins the squad?
Yeah, Carter's back with our team practicing. He has been for a couple of weeks. So, and again, with that type of injury with a goalie, I think you're even more cautious and you make sure he's 100%. But injuries happen. So, yes, both of those players are back in. Jake's back in LaSalle, and then Michael Newlove actually has been moved out of Georgetown to Burlington for a playoff run. Is what the hope is for his development. And so, yeah, both those guys are still young guys with bright futures.
Bill Bowler, last couple of questions for the general manager of the Windsor Spitfires here on Windsor Spitfires television. Make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoy this video for more content that way. When you look at goals for this team for the rest of the season, what are you earmarking, if any?
Again, we let the players dictate what kind of team they have. Personally, I think, again, with the lead we have, I think that's realistic that we'd like to win our division again this year. And then come playoff again, a totally different animal. We look at the other opponents in the West and we like our chances. We know there's some teams that are stacked and have a couple more points than us today, but again, hockey's, we've seen strange things happen in this sport, and we like our group and we're excited, and we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but we feel we're going to have an exciting playoff run here.
Bill, I appreciate the time. Best of luck down the stretch here.
Thank you.
Bill Bowler, the General Manager and Vice President of Hockey Operations for the Windsor Spitfires. Remember, look at that schedule online, windsorspitfires.com. You can get tickets right on the team's website and follow the team as they continue to push for first in the West Division and first in the Western Conference. And follow all the action here on Windsor Spitfires TV.